Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
This episode is brought to you by the Toyota Grand Highlander. Life's journey brings constant change filled with exciting surprises and grand challenges. And with its spaciousness, power, and style, the Toyota Grand Highlander is more than a vehicle. It's your partner in embracing all life throws at you. From the spacious adult-sized third row to seating for up to 8 passengers, the Toyota Grand Highlander is up for every grand challenge. Learn more at toyota.com/Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Now last week, we talked bar movies. And Carrie got this really cool idea that we should do bar movies again this week with a twist. Because we're doing movies set behind bars. We're talking about prison films, and here to join me, the brainchild of this one, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm good. Does that make me your, inmate?
If this is the asylum, then yes. Which, putting it in that perspective, makes everything over the last 3.5 years make so much more sense, because only crazy people would watch some of the films that we have watched. You're thinking about it now, aren't you?
I thought you meant that it's more like a prison sentence. Time served, 3 years and counting.
Well, if you ever watch the beginning of Robot Chicken, and you have the chicken that's strapped into the chair and then forced to watch all these bad shows, I feel that chicken right now. Sometimes
Grading on the curve. Sometimes.
And then sometimes there's the Garbage Pail Kids movie. All right, but no. Well, the Garbage Pail Kids did end up behind bars at one point.
True.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about films primarily set in prison. And we're going to pick 3 each. Keep, Watch, and a Pass. The Keep is one that is a max life sentence. The Watch is one that may get off for good behavior. And the Pass is one that gets put into solitary confinement, never to be watched again. Carrie, I'm going to head over to you. Your Keep prison film.
I am keeping the incredibly comical, hilarious prison break to stardom of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Which I find kind of funny because, dear listeners, if you went back and listened to our episode of movies where you wish the bands were real, I actually passed on this film.
Yes, you did. And I forgave you for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to give it its love here. I have to say that, you know what? It wasn't a huge, prison wasn't a huge setting, but
neither was good music.
These were escaped convicts that rose to fame.
On the run, the Soggy Bottom Boys.
Yes.
I mean, you could easily call that a prison film because it does focus on their escape from incarceration and what they do after the fact. I'm just glad I don't have to watch it again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Coen Brothers. This one didn't do it for me.
That would be your life sentence.
It would be. I would put that one in the hole for sure. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm keeping a Michael Bay film. I'm keeping The Rock. Nick Cage, Sean Connery, an earlier Michael Bay film, so not as kaboomy as his Transformers era. But I mean, this is around the same time too that Con Air came out, and he was behind that. So this is when Michael Bay was really, he was making a name for himself with these films, with these high-paced, high-action, all the bells and whistles that you want, but still with a good storyline. That was the thing. Michael Bay films in the early days had good storylines. We've talked about The Island on our show, and The Island is a great film. The Rock is kind of in that same vein where you can ignore a lot of the flashing because you do have good acting in it. You do have a good story in it. It's an easy to follow plot. It's not toys going smashy smash against each other like every single Transformers film that he did. I like The Rock. The idea of having to break into Alcatraz to stop this missile attack on San Francisco, the plot makes sense. And Sean Connery, and somehow subdued Nick Cage from all the crazy that he normally gives us. But yeah, I'm picking a Michael Bay film as my keep. I think we have hit asylum status here. I don't know if I'm well. I may need to check myself into the prison at some point. Okay. My watch. I've said this before on the show. When it comes to Stallone's films, I find that my favorite ones from him are the ones that aren't from the franchises that are overdone. So, my favorite films are not Rocky films. They're not Rambo films. They're not Expendables films. They're these one-off stories that don't sit in any IP, although I did like Judge Dredd, don't get me wrong. They stand alone. They don't need a sequel. They don't need another franchise made out of some, muscle-bound character that does the impossible. They're just good character stories. So when I say Lock Up is my watch film, this is a story of Stallone plays Frank Leone, who was a prisoner who was transferred to a max security prison when he shouldn't have been by a warden who was seeking revenge against him because prior to this, he had broken out of a prison to become a whistleblower against the warden in that old prison. So Stallone shed light on things that were happening to the prisoners in that old prison. He got a bit of a lighter sentence because he was helping out. Donald Sutherland is the warden who tosses him in this Supermax prison. So basically, this is Stallone trying to break out of this Supermax prison before he gets killed in there. With Donald Sutherland just being so delicious as the bad guy. And yeah, like, I don't know if you've seen this one or not, but this is in my top 5 of Stallone flicks. It's like Demolition Man is right up the top, right? Because Demolition Man is awesome. Daylight is surprisingly good. This is in there as well. I liked Tango and Cash. I did.
And Oscar.
And Oscar's in the top 5. So there you go, right? Like, that's a good stretch of Stallone films. And none of them are franchised. None of them. Stallone had good films. He also had bad ones. But he had a stretch where he was in these stories that stood by themselves and didn't needed to be like heroicized or anything. And sequelized and monopolized and franchised.
But Rocky is just classic.
Yes, the original Rocky story is a great, heartfelt story. And had Rocky just been a one-off, it might have been considered one of the greatest sports movies of all time. And it probably still is, but...
See, I disagree because you really felt so much for this character that you had to keep coming back and see, you wanted more.
Okay, so let's go through this here. Rocky 1, here's a fighter who gets a break, right? A chance at a championship fight when he probably shouldn't, right? Yeah, it's a gimmick to the champ, Apollo Creed, but whatever, right? And he doesn't win, but he goes the distance, right? Here's a guy who's never had a major fight, and he goes the distance with the champ, right? It's not a glory, glory, everyone jump out of their seat. It's a human story. It is doing enough to prove to yourself that you're good enough. Then Rocky 2 comes and he gets the rematch and he wins the title and we get the Hollywood ending. That's like Rocky 1 is not the Hollywood ending.
No.
Rocky 1 is the personal triumph ending, the Oscar ending. Rocky 2 is the Hollywood ending. Rocky 3 is the 80s film. Rocky 4, don't get me wrong, I love Rocky 4. There's a cheese factor to it that I just, and the soundtrack slays. Rocky 5 never happened. Rocky Balboa is fantastic. I'm sorry, Rocky 5 did not happen. There is a multiverse out there where Rocky 5 didn't happen, and I want to live in that multiverse. Don't need no Tommy gun. All right. Well, what's your watch pick?
My watch is so obvious. It's Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman.
Oh, you're being the basic bitch on this one.
Oh, I had to. I have to give this movie love because, we'll never be able to cover it on It's Not That Bad.
No, we can't.
I mean, it is such a great movie. And just so quotable and so iconic. That scene where he's just turning the music up and sitting and playing and
yeah, no, there's so much about that film.
Yeah.
That is tip of the hat, Oscar worth. It's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece. This is what prestige cinema looks like. So I get it. Which is why it's not on my list, because I don't watch good movies. I watch Stallone films. And apparently Michael Bay films.
Harsh.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
Some things work better together, like NARS's Soft Matte Complete Concealer and Radiant Creamy Concealer. Soft Matte Complete Concealar erases and blurs imperfections with full coverage. Then, Radiant Creamy Concealer evens and brightens with a luxurious texture and radiant finish. 2 concealers, 1 flawless look. Perfect for a no foundation base. NARS, better together. Visit Ulta to shop now.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
All right. Back over to you. Your pass prison pick.
I hope that this qualifies as a prison pick. Woo! had to stop and edit myself that one.
There was a reason why I said that last thing very, very slowly.
Yeah, as I was saying it, I'm like...
Because otherwise I'd be talking about your prison prick, and that would be bad.
Woo! I hope it qualifies, but I'm going with The Suicide Squad. Because they're... Yeah, you know what? They all spend...
Yeah.
A good portion
of the time
in their respective cells until they form alliances and get a pardon. I guess they got released to.
Yeah. Now I assume you're talking about the first Suicide Squad. Or are you talking about the Suicide Squad?
The Suicide Squad.
Wow, you're passing on the second one, the James Gunn directed one.
Yeah.
With Peacemaker.
I know. And yeah, I know. And that's what makes it really, you know what? I think, and I mean, I loved the Peacemaker TV series.
Yes.
Freaking loved it. I loved it so much. I have the Peacemaker Funko Pop and the figurine. Okay. I freaking loved And
I know.
John Cena.
He's your Candyman. I get it.
He's, yeah. But
you have to go back and listen to past episodes to understand that reference. I'm not explaining it. You have to deep dive. Go on,
you know
continue.
what? I really wanted to like this movie. I really did. And I went into it and I was like, ooh, is it over? No, it's just beginning. Oh.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you a little bit here. Now.
Did not see that coming.
Hear me out. The Suicide Squad is infinitely better than the first Suicide Squad film. There is zero question about that. James Gunn definitely improved on the franchise. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is
she's
perfect
fantastic.
Casting. Perfect
Forgot
casting.
to mention, I did love her. No disrespect really to any of the characters. I just didn't like the movie.
Yeah. Having Starro the Conqueror as the big bad at the end is, you know, that's deep dish comic book geekery. And I loved it. I thought it was cool. But I don't think it's as good as everyone makes it out to be. I don't like what they did with the Suicide Squad in the first film because they took Enchantress and they made her so bad. Like, I like Cara Delevingne. I think she's a good actress. I really liked her in Valerian, but not Suicide Squad. And that movie was saved by Margot Robbie being like the absolute best Harley Quinn on film. Absolutely. Here, Idris Elba's Bloodsport's okay. John Cena's Peacemaker is very good. Peter Capaldi. I wanted to like him in this. I did, but I didn't. Like, anyone who's in government of this country that they're diving into, there's a lot of wasted moments. There are a lot of shock moments, I'll admit, but there's a lot of wasted moments. Polka dot guy, forget no. Just no. No.
The shark.
Oh, King Shark. The problem is, I've seen multiple versions of King Shark. And in some cases, King Shark is very terrifying. This just made King Shark dumb as bricks. Speaking of Stallone, because that's who voices King Shark.
Oh.
Stallone did exactly what they told him to do. That's fine. Even King Shark in the Harley Quinn series is better, but not by much. It's kind of like what they did with Killer Croc was actually really good in the first Suicide Squad film. Adewale Agbaje killed it in that. Killer Croc worked in the first Suicide Squad film. King Shark in the Suicide Squad was there. This is what they did with Drax. In the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, Drax was unique. And how he couldn't understand metaphors and sarcasm. And he took everything on a very literal basis. And there were a lot of people who really identified with Drax. And then Guardians of the Galaxy 2 turns around and you turn him into a galactic horn dog.
Well, I was thinking more, not necessarily Drax, but Groot. Like, because Groot really just, I am Groot.
But that's the character. That's comic book accurate. But they turned Drax into jokes as opposed to the inability to understand human sarcasm and metaphors, right? That was fun at a smarter level, but then they turned him into dumb jokes, right? King Shark, Ratcatcher, okay, but not really. There were a lot of characters that you didn't need in there. And there were a lot of deeper characters going into DC comic books lore that if you weren't a comic book reader, you're like, well, who the hell is this person? I think the Suicide Squad gets looked at more favorably because James Gunn did some really cool directing stuff with this and definitely improved on Suicide Squad. But I don't think it's as good as everyone makes it out to be. Better than, but not great For my past pick, I'm hesitant. So I'm going to ask you first. Do you think your father listens to our podcast?
No.
Okay, good.
Uh-oh.
I'm passing on Missing in Action 2, The Beginning.
Oh, I thought you were going to pass on Con Air.
No.
Then you'd really be in trouble with Dad.
No. Okay. But I know he's a Chuck Norris guy. And I'm passing on a Chuck Norris film. And I say that knowing that I watched this film a lot when it was on like, first choice in the movie networks back in the day, right? Because it was Chuck Norris in the 80s and it was cool, right? But it's not. It's not. James Braddock is like, I hate to say this, like a Kirkland brand John Rambo. Even though Chuck Norris the world revolves because Chuck Norris runs, put it that way. But and I think the part of the problem with this too is that when Rambo 2 came out, like Rambo First Blood Part 2, it was almost the exact same story as this. And apparently this film, Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, was supposed to be the first film that came out, but and they filmed both at the same time. But what was supposed to be the sequel was the better film, so they put it out first, and then they made this out to be the prequel. So okay, you know exactly what you're dealing with. You put the worst film out second. So this is basically James Braddock's time in the Vietnamese POW camp. So it's a prison. And of course, he busts out and tries to rescue his friends and whatnot. It's just, I didn't find it. I actually didn't like the first Missing in Action either. Like, I understand that there was a time in the 80s when Vietnam movies and, action figure type actors, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chuck Norris. These were all like human action figures. And every movie they put out was big, right? Like this was machismo in the 80s, right? You went in there with a machine gun and you shot down all the bad guys and you saved the day. And that's what you did. You go back and watch those films now, and it just doesn't hold up. I don't even know if it really held up back then, but I was too young to think about films like that back then. I was someone who watched movies, and yes, there was a lot of that, action star goes in and single-handedly saves the day and saves everyone. Missing in Action is a lesser than series when it comes to those kind of movies. The Rambo series, and the funny thing too is that you take a look at the Rambo series. The first film, First Blood, is based on a book. And then they took the character and they went in a complete opposite direction. First Blood is about PTSD. First Blood is about someone who is having problems leaving the war behind. What's the next film? Oh, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to go get these American POWs out. Hey. No. And then Rambo 3 goes into Afghanistan. What's this? It's a blue light. What does it do? Turns blue. No. You missed the point of what the original book was about. Missing in Action? It's there. And I could pass on it. Like, if I never watched a Missing in Action movie again in my entire life, I think I'd die happy. That sounds like the worst, meanest thing to say.
So you don't want to go watch it?
No.
No.
No. No, no, and no. Sorry. All right, Carrie. Please remind our listeners what your Keep Watch and past picks are for prison films.
I am keeping Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, watching Shawshank Redemption, two totally different movies. And
But yet both have music.
True.
There you go.
And passing on The Suicide Squad.
All right. I am keeping The Rock. I am watching Lock Up. And I am passing on Missing in Action to the beginning. Carrie, thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, well, you guys know the drill. If there's a topic that you want us to cover on Keep Watch Pass or a movie that you want us to cover on It's Not That Bad, hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to the webpage so every time we put a new post up, you get notified so you know exactly when we got new material for you. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.